After 60, most people do not lose balance all at once. They lose it quietly. A little hesitation on the stairs, a hand reaching for the wall, a slower turn in the kitchen, a moment of panic when the ground feels less certain than it used to. And then one day, what used to feel automatic starts to feel risky. By age 65, 1 in 4 older adults falls every year. Most people think falls happen because the legs got weak or the floor was slippery. But in many cases, the real problem starts earlier than that. It starts when the body forgets how to organize balance fast enough to protect you. Elaine was 68 when she stopped carrying laundry down the stairs by herself, not because she had already fallen, because she could feel that her body no longer trusted itself. She was moving more carefully, but feeling less stable. That is a dangerous combination. 5 chair moves changed that. Not in theory, not in a gym, not with complicated equipment. Just a chair, a few minutes a day, and the right kind of training. Today, I am going to show you 5 chair moves designed to improve balance after 60. And at the end, I will show you 5 daily habits that silently increase fall risk, even in people who think they are being careful. Stay for both, because the exercises help rebuild balance, but the habits may be the reason balance keeps breaking down in the first place. Move 1, seated march with opposite arm swing. Balance during walking is not a still skill, it is a moving skill. And that is why so many people miss the problem. They can stand in one place and feel mostly fine, but the moment they start walking, turning, or carrying something, the body struggles to coordinate. This first move begins to rebuild that coordination. Sit tall near the front of your chair with both feet flat on the floor. Now lift your right knee while swinging your left arm forward. Then lift your left knee while swinging your right arm forward. Slowly, deliberately. Like your body is relearning how to walk with purpose. Do not rush this. Let each lift take about 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down. Continue for 30 seconds. Over time, build up to 60 seconds. What this move is really doing is reconnecting the systems that walking depends on. Your eyes, your inner ear, and the sensors in your joints and muscles all work together to tell your brain where your body is in space. But when you spend years sitting more and moving less, those systems stop communicating with the same speed and precision they once did. That is when walking starts to feel less smooth, less confident, less automatic. The seated march teaches your body that arms and legs must coordinate again. That matters more than most people realize. A lot of balance breakdown begins with that subtle disconnection. The legs move, but the upper body does not help organize the motion. The step becomes clumsy, the correction comes late, and the body feels unstable. Elaine told me this move felt awkward at first, not because her legs were weak, but because her arm swing felt unnatural. That matters. When arm swing disappears, walking becomes stiffer, shorter, and easier to interrupt. By the second week, she said something small but important. She said, "Walking feels less choppy." That is how improvement begins. Not with a miracle, with the body starting to move as one piece again. Coordination comes first. Then we train the part of your body that has to save you in a split second when the ground is not what you expected. Move 2, seated heel and toe raises. Your ankles are your first responders. Before your hips can react, before your hands can reach, before your brain even fully registers that something went wrong, your ankles are already trying to keep you upright. If they are slow, weak, or untrained, the fall gets a head start. Sit tall with both feet flat on the floor. First, keep your heels down and lift your toes toward your shins as high as comfortable. Hold for 2 seconds. Lower them with control. Now keep your toes down and lift your heels off the floor as high as comfortable. Hold for 2 seconds. Lower slowly. That is 1 repetition. Do 15 slow repetitions. This move targets 2 areas that matter more than people think. The front of the lower leg helps lift the foot so the toes do not catch on the ground. The calf helps stabilize your landing and control how your foot meets the floor. If the front of the shin is weak, your toes are more likely to drag. If the calf is weak, your ankle is more likely to wobble. And when both are weak, one bad step becomes much harder to rescue. Most people over 60 notice something interesting during this move. One direction feels easier than the other. Usually the heel raise feels stronger and the toe raise feels more difficult. That is because the muscles that lift the foot are rarely trained on purpose, even though they are critical for preventing trips. That weakness often stays invisible until someone catches a toe on a rug, a doorstep, or the edge of a sidewalk. And once that happens, the body has only a fraction of a second to respond. The better your ankles are trained, the better your chances of correcting the mistake before it becomes a fall. If these first two moves are already showing you something nobody ever explained clearly before, subscribe to Wellness Daily right now and hit the like button. There are 3 more moves to go, and the habit section at the end may explain why some people keep feeling unsteady no matter how careful they try to be. Ankles help catch the mistake. Now we train the muscles that keep the body from collapsing sideways when a step lands off center. Move 3. Seated outward knee press. Weak hips are one of the most overlooked reasons balance gets worse with age. Most people think balance is all ankles. It is not. When the muscles on the outside of the hips stop doing their job, the pelvis becomes less stable with every step. The body begins to sway more from side to side. That side shift may look small, but it is exactly the kind of instability that turns a stumble into a fall. Sit tall near the front of your chair. Place your hands on the outside of your knees. Now press your knees outward into your hands while your hands resist the movement. Hold the pressure for 5 seconds, then release fully. Rest for 3 seconds. That is 1 repetition. Do 12 repetitions. This is a simple isometric hold, but it works because it wakes up muscles that often go quiet after years of sitting. Sitting shortens the front of the hips and reduces how much the outer hips contribute during standing and walking. Over time, those muscles stop participating the way they should. Then when the body needs to stabilize quickly, they are late. This move teaches them to show up again. You may not feel this as a big dramatic burn. That is not the point. The point is activation, control, and stability. Elaine said, "This move changed the way standing felt more than the way sitting felt." After about 2 weeks, she noticed she could step sideways in the kitchen without that brief sensation that her weight was spilling away from her. That is what stronger hip support feels like. Not necessarily more power, more reliability. If you want to make this harder later, you can place a folded towel between your knees and press outward while keeping the movement controlled. The slight instability of the towel forces the hips to work more precisely, and precision matters because real life is never perfectly even. A curb is not perfectly even. A lawn is not perfectly even. A bathroom turn in the middle of the night is definitely not perfectly even. Balance is not built for perfect conditions. It is built for unpredictable ones. Hips hold you upright. Now we train the skill most people lose gradually without realizing it. Move 4, seated weight shifts. Every step you take is a transfer of weight. From one foot to the other, from one side of the body to the other, from one moment of support to the next. When that transfer becomes hesitant, stiff, or uneven, walking starts to feel unsafe. People often respond by moving more cautiously, but that can actually make the problem worse. The body becomes less fluid, less adaptive, and more likely to freeze when a quick correction is needed. This move rebuilds trust in weight transfer. Sit tall near the front of your chair with your feet flat and about hip-width apart. Place your hands lightly on your thighs. Now slowly shift your weight to the right hip. Hold for 3 seconds. Return to center. Then slowly shift to the left hip. Hold for 3 seconds. Return to center. That is 1 cycle. Do 10 cycles. The goal is not to collapse into the shift. The goal is to let the weight move below the waist, while the upper body stays tall and organized. This is where many people discover a hidden balance habit. When they shift weight, the entire torso leans with it. The shoulders tip, the head drifts, the whole body follows the movement instead of controlling it. That is the exact pattern that makes a misstep more dangerous. What you want instead is this. The hips accept the weight. The spine stays long. The head stays centered. The upper body remains calm while the lower body manages the transfer. That separation is a major part of safe walking. It is what lets you step around something, turn slightly, or place one foot onto an uneven surface without letting the rest of the body tumble into the motion. As this gets easier, add a reach. Shift your weight to the right hip and reach your left arm diagonally forward. Come back to center. Shift to the left and reach your right arm diagonally forward. This teaches the body to stay organized during real-world movement, because balance is rarely challenged when you are sitting perfectly still. It is challenged when you reach, turn, react, or carry something. Elaine said this move made her feel strange at first, because she realized how much she had been bracing her whole body every time her weight changed. Once that bracing softened, her movement started looking and feeling more natural again. Weight shifting becomes smoother. Now we train the one skill. Walking secretly depends on every single second. Move 5, chair-assisted single-leg hold. Walking is a series of controlled one-leg moments. Every step you take means one foot leaves the floor and the other foot briefly carries you. That means if standing on one leg feels impossible, walking is already asking your body to do something it no longer feels ready for. This move is one of the clearest ways to train balance directly. Stand behind your chair and rest your hands lightly on the back of it. Not gripping hard, not leaning, just enough contact to feel safe. Find a point in front of you and keep your eyes there. Now slowly lift your right foot 1 or 2 inches off the floor. Keep the standing knee soft. Keep the hips level. Breathe normally. Hold for 10 seconds. Lower down, rest a few seconds, then switch sides. Do 5 holds on each side. This move matters because it exposes the truth quickly. A lot of people believe they are fine until they try to stand on one foot and realize the body starts shaking almost immediately. That is not failure, that is information. And information is powerful, because once you know what is missing, you can train it. Single leg balance challenges the ankles, hips, core, and nervous system at the same time. It teaches your body to make constant small corrections without panic. That is exactly what protects you during walking. Elaine could hold for 6 seconds on her weaker side the first time she tried it. She was frustrated. She thought 6 seconds meant she was in worse shape than she realized. I told her 6 honest seconds on one leg tells you more about your functional balance than 2 minutes of standing on both feet ever will. By week 3, she was past 12 seconds. By week 5, she stopped grabbing the chair so tightly. By week 7, she said something that mattered even more than the number. She said, "I don't feel like I'm waiting to lose balance anymore." That is the real win. When this move gets easier, reduce your hand support. Go from both hands to one hand. Then 2 fingers, then 1 finger. The goal is not to force independence too soon. The goal is to let confidence build without fear taking over. Because fear changes posture, fear creates stiffness, and stiffness makes balance worse. The chair is not a crutch. It is a bridge. Now, I promised you at the beginning that I would also show you 5 daily habits that quietly raise fall risk, even in people who are doing the exercises. Here they are. Habit 1, walking in socks on hard floors. This feels harmless, but it is one of the easiest ways to make a preventable fall more likely. Socks slide. They reduce traction, and they give the body less warning when the foot begins to drift. A lot of falls happen during ordinary moments, not dramatic ones. Getting out of bed, walking to the bathroom, moving across the kitchen. That is exactly when people are most likely to be in socks and least likely to be fully alert. If you are over 60, the goal is not comfort at the cost of grip. Use supportive, closed-back footwear with a stable sole whenever possible, especially on smooth surfaces. Habit 2. Rushing to the bathroom. Very few people talk about this, but it is a major setup for falls. The urge comes suddenly. The person stands too fast. The turn happens too quickly. The light stays off. The body moves faster than balance can organize. That is a dangerous chain. Rushing at night combines multiple risk factors at once: reduced visibility, sudden movement, grogginess, and poor foot placement. If this is something you deal with, solve it practically. Use night lights, clear the path, give yourself time, and never treat speed as the priority when safety is the priority. Habit 3. Taking medications without regular review. Many people do not realize how much balance can be affected by medications. Dizziness, sleepiness, low blood pressure when standing, slower reaction time, or a cloudy sense of focus can all increase fall risk. The more medications involved, the more important the review becomes. That does not mean stopping anything on your own. It means asking the right question. Ask your doctor whether any of your medications may be affecting steadiness, alertness, or blood pressure when changing position. Sometimes the risk is not obvious until the body is already compensating for it every day. Habit 4. Wearing backless slippers or loose shoes. If the shoe does not stay securely attached to the foot, your toes start gripping to hold it on. That changes how you walk. It shortens the step. It stiffens the foot. It adds tension in the wrong places. And it makes quick corrections harder when the ground surprises you. A stable shoe gives the body one less problem to solve. Comfort matters, but stability matters too. The best everyday choice is usually a secure, well-fitting shoe with a closed back and reliable grip. Habit 5. Moving in poor lighting. Your balance system depends on visual information more than most people realize. When lighting is poor, especially at night, the body loses one of its major guidance systems. Then the ankles and inner ear have to do more of the work. If those systems are already weaker than they used to be, the risk rises fast. This is why night movement feels so different. The environment did not change. The information available to your balance system did. A simple nightlight in the hallway, bathroom path, or bedroom can lower risk immediately. Not next month. Not after a full exercise plan. Immediately. 5 moves, 5 habits, 1 chair, a few minutes a day. That is how balance begins to come back. The seated march rebuilds coordination between the arms and legs. The heel and toe raises train the ankles to react faster and more cleanly. The outward knee press reactivates the hip muscles that keep you upright. The weight shifts restore smooth transfer from side to side, and the single leg hold trains the exact balance challenge walking requires every single day. Then the habits matter just as much. Socks on hard floors, rushing in the dark, medications left unreviewed, loose backless footwear, poor lighting at night. Those 5 things may be increasing fall risk even before weakness becomes obvious. Elaine still does these moves every morning before breakfast. She changed her slippers. She added lighting in the hallway. She slowed down at night. And after several weeks, she noticed something that had been missing for a long time. She was no longer thinking about falling every time she walked. That is the goal. Not just stronger muscles, not just better numbers, but a body that feels trustworthy again. If any of these moves need modifying because of knee pain, hip discomfort, or a balance issue, leave it in the comments. Every question is personally read and answered. Share this with someone over 60 who needs balance, confidence, and steadier steps. Subscribe to Wellness Daily. Your body was built to balance. It may just need the right reminder. And today, you gave it 5.